Hey, how's it going? Morning. I actually made it on time today. Hallelujah. Hey, Data, how's it going? Yep, you're fastest firstest again. And yes, you can go ahead and post your links if you want. All right. Let's see here. It's been a wonderful day. It's been a busy day. I tell you know, I still do some work from home, computer work. And I back up everything on my thumb drives. That way when I'm transporting back and forth between the house and the job site, you know, I've got the same information. I've got the computer work with me. While I'm sitting here this morning, I'm doing my work, saving my files. On the very last file, I save it, and all of a sudden I get blue screen on my computer. And it says, we've had a problem and we are counting it down and saving it and going to send it in to see what happened, yada, yada, yada. So I unplug my thumb drives, set it, and wait for the computer to restart. Plug my thumb drives back in. It's completely empty to the point that the computer says it needs to be reformatted. I'm like, what the hell? So I dismount the thumb drive, remove it, start the computer completely over again, reboot the computer, shut the computer completely down, let it set, reboot it, plug the thumb drive back in. It needs reformatted. It it's sitting there saying nothing. I'm like, oh my god. The entire thumb drive with 15 years of records on it, gone. Kaput. And I can't even reformat the drive because it says the drive is in write protection. So I can't even reformat it. I can't do nothing to it. It's a dead thumb drive now. However, however, being as I am a belts, being as I'm a belt and suspenders type of guy, and if you don't know what that means, is there's an old running joke about asking men about why they wear belt and suspenders. This is back in the days when pants weren't necessarily made to fit. And a guy would say, "Well, I wear them to keep my pants up." And if one of the most embarrassing things you can have happen is have your pants fall down in public. So if my belt fails, the suspenders are there. If the suspenders are there, if the suspenders fail, the belt is there. So I've always got one or the other to keep my pants up. I've always kept a second thumb drive that was kept current. I'd work off of my primary thumb drive. Well, at first I'd work off the primary computer. Then I'd back everything up to my primary backup drive. Then I would back everything up to a backup drive. In fact, they were labeled backup one, backup two. It's just I lost everything that I had worked on this morning. That's all I lost is everything I had worked on this morning. I didn't lose anything else. And since I already had paper copies of everything that I'd worked on this morning, all you know, uh, all I had to do was re-input the data. So yeah, data. If I want to waste my time and spend some money I really don't need to spend, I could probably send that drive off to someone, pay them to recover it, or I can take it, run it through a hell of a electromagnetic field, and spend $6 on a new thumb drive to back it all up. And I think I could. I think I'd rather spend $6 than pay whatever it cost me to send it off to data recovery. Well, yeah, you're right about that data, but I don't. I normally don't keep shadow copies of anything. Uh, I as because a lot of these files, fortunately, a lot of these files are I'm the only one who gets into them. But I do work with some idiots that I do work with some less than technologically knowledgeable people who, yeah, you know, let's just say I spend probably as much time recovering the computer from their mistakes as I do from anything else. All right. Oh yeah, read belt and suspenders. So I'll be going to Best Buy today. Go down and buy a cheap little flash drive or a thumb drive because I don't need much. I mean, little 128 uh, drive will work. I mean, because everything on there is either Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. So uh, that's so that makes it easy. Everything's one of those three files. Yeah, what have triple backups? Well, I do have to buy a micro SD card for my wife's car. So, but anyway, so that's how my day started off. The alarm went off at 4:30. I got up, got got the computer started, and started my coffee. And then at 6:30, I had this catastrophic failure of a flash drive. And this is a good flash. I mean, it's a good drive. It's a Kingston all metal drive, metal body drive. It's not a cheap plastic one. It's got a nice metal casing to it. So, it's really a nice drive. Put my redundant copy in bank vault. Not data because I always back up to both drives automatically. As soon as I'm finished on with the primary files, I automatically copy everything to both drives automatically. That way they're safe. I mean, that way I've got everything up to date. But anyway, remember yesterday I was talking about uh, the Community College of New York, that they had the rather anti-Semitic, uh, the woman who was born in Yemen and grew up in the Queens and absolutely hated Israel and Jews, and made that quite clear from her uh, speech that she gave at the graduation ceremonies. Well, there's been some blowback to that already. Oh, come! I hate this. New York congressman introduces legislation to pull federal funding for colleges that promote anti-Semitism. Republican Congressman Mike Lawler, Republic of I love this how they Republic of New York, will introduce legislation Thursday, which is today, to prohibit universities that authorize anti-Semitic events on campus from participating in student loan and grant programs. Now, this could come afoul at that point of the First Amendment. But so, that could come afoul of the First Amendment at that point. All right. The Stop Anti-Semitism on College Campuses Act was proposed in response to a recent controversial CUNY law student commencement speech where the speaker, student Fatima Musa Muhammad, accused the U.S. military and Israel of indiscriminate murder and asked students to join a revolution against Zionism, capitalism, and racism. Muhammad said Israel continues to indiscriminately rain bullets and bombs on worshipers, murdering the old, the young, attacking even funerals, graveyards, and encourages lynch mobs to target Palestinian homes and businesses as it imprisons its children. The speech drew bipartisan backlash from progressives like Bronx Rep. Richie Torres, Democrat of New York, who called the address an anti-Israel derangement syndrome. Former New York Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin, who said the taxpayer money should be pulled from the college for raging anti-Semitism. Lawler is calling for CUNY to face stiff penalties if they continue to let hate to have a home through his bill, which would amend the Higher Education Act of 65 to add that an institution cannot authorize, facilitate, provide funding for, or otherwise support anti-Semitism. Being as it's that targeted, I think that's going to draw foul of the First Amendment. And you can't make it any broader because it'll still become a possible violation, depending on the courts, of the First Amendment. So, yeah, while I agree this woman's speech was hateful, and the college should have taken what steps they had, could have taken steps to tell her that what she was saying there as a representative of the college, could not happen. And that would be the college doing it. But when Congress steps in to say what a college can and cannot have or have said, or else it's going to withdraw federal funds, I think that's going to run afoul of the First Amendment in the court system. And I am by no means, y'all know me, I'm by no means endorsing what this woman had to say or anything else. Y'all know that I do not endorse this kind of speech. Like I do not endorse people talking about a lot of things. I don't endorse a lot of things that get said. and we talk about, but I don't want it removed or Congress stepping in and stifling it because that's not Congress's job. Congress's job is not to tell me what I can and cannot say. Congress's job is not to pay someone to tell me what I can and cannot say. Congress's job, it isn't Congress's job to tell someone they're not going to pay them if they don't stifle what I can or cannot say. I mean, I may disagree with what's being said today, but tomorrow may be something I agree with that's getting stifled at the request of Congress. And we've already been through this with Twitter and the FBI going in there and having Twitter and the Biden administration going in and telling Twitter what they can and can't have posted. So now, bless the guys. I mean, his heart's possibly in the right place. I just think it's the wrong thing to do. CUNY should be ashamed of itself for allowing this ridiculous anti-Semitism to permeate on its campus, he added. Stopping anti-Semitism dead in its tracks is critical for supporting our Jewish communities in New York. Now, suppose we said that we wanted, conservative speech, a bunch of, again, I may not like what she said, and if CUNY, after having read her speech or knowing what this woman was about, said, no, we're not going to allow you to speak because, well, then I would have been just perfectly fine with that. That's not violating her First Amendment rights. She still has the First Amendment right to go say what she wants to say. CUNY just said, no, we're not going to let you say it from our graduation ceremonies. You can go find someplace else to say what you want to say. Jeffrey Lax, a law professor at the university, told Fox News, in my 20 years of doing this, this is the worst, most disgusting commencement speech I've ever heard. The Anti-Defamation League of New York and New Jersey tweeted, we are appalled to see such a egregious display of hostility towards Zionists, which is how many Jews see themselves, and Israel in CUNY's law commencement address. This is another example of the harm Jewish students experience on campus. Now, I was relating about some videos I've seen on YouTube before, told you about it yesterday, where a guy would sit there and wave a pro-Palestinian flag with pro-Palestinian placards around him and shout pro-Palestinian comments, and students would go by, high-five him, thumbs up, cheer him, yada, yada, yada. They really support him. But he'd go back the next day, stand in the exact same spot with an Israel flag, with pro-Israel placards, and he'd be threatened, he'd be cussed out, he would be given the finger, he would be cursed at, he would be, it was total night and day. And that's because of the anti-Israel sentiment on most public colleges today. So, yeah, it is an issue. It is an issue nationwide of the anti-Israeli, anti-Jewish sentiment on colleges. fostered by the Democratic Party. Oh, no, 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 this isn't Democrats. No, no, we Democrats never do that. Oh, yeah? Show me the conservatives out there supporting these college students. Show me the conservative teachers in these colleges teaching the anti-Israeli hate. They're all liberal teachers. They're all Democratic Party teachers. These aren't conservative teachers in these colleges teaching this hate in their classrooms. But there's no classes out there on anti-Israel. No, there's no classes in and of themselves. Just like there's no classes in the math department pushing the LGBTQIA2 spirit, whatever, plus agenda. But nearly every college professor out there has that as part of their course, where they push and just like they do in our high schools, where they're pushing this stuff in the agendas. So, yeah, is it an actual course? No, but are the teachers pushing them in their courses, giving speeches about how, pro-Palestinian activities and such? Yes. According to the Jewish Virtual Library, 36 states have adopted executive orders or resolutions designed to discourage boycotts against Israel. Many, but not all, of these laws have been designed to limit or discourage boycott, divestment, and sanctions BDS groups on college campuses. Oh, I skipped this. The Pro-Israel American Campus Group tracked 18 incidents since 2015 on CUNY Law Campus where students or faculty spoke out against Israel. And again, just as these college campuses would not allow a KKK group to go on campus and give a speech or anything like that, anything against a racist organization to go out there and speak, they ought to stop these pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel groups from going out there and giving speeches on campus. And again, that's not hey, Badger, morning to you. So yeah, there's issues out there on these college campuses, and while this lawmaker's heart is in the right place, he's also wrong for doing it. We cannot have the federal government stepping in and telling the college campus what they can and cannot say, or they're going and hold the handle of money over their head. We're going to hold back money if you don't do what we tell you to do. If you don't stifle the speech we don't like, we're going to withhold money from you. We can't be doing that. So, all right. The Little Mermaid. I have not even, I know the story of the Little Mermaid. Who in the hell doesn't know the story? Well, even I know the story of the Little Mermaid. Did I watch the cartoon? No. I did not watch the 20-year-old Disney cartoon on the Little Mermaid. All right. Got no interest in watching it. Won't watch it. Haven't watched it. Yada, yada, yada. I've got no need to watch it. Am I going to go watch the Halle Berry black race swapped Little Mermaid 2.5 hour movie? No, I'm not, because I've got no reason to go watch it. I've got no interest in going to watch it. And I have no plans on watching it. And I tell you that a discussion I started, I don't know, 6 weeks ago I avoided it for the last couple of weeks and it's still going on. I'm still getting hate from it for just pointing out that Hans Christian Andersen and the original drawings, that the story was written in 1836, is written in Denmark for Danish. It was released for Danish children. There is some people out there saying, and I'm not a Hans Christian Andersen authority, and so I don't know the truth behind this or not. There are some people out there saying that Hans Christian Andersen wrote this to a male, this story toward a male, because Hans Christian Andersen was gay, this guy was straight, or vice versa, and Hans Christian Andersen wished that he could, he was the Little Mermaid, could not express the love that could not be named. But anyway, but still, this was a fable, a fairy tale released to the Danish children in 1836. Now, today, with travel as easy as it is today, approximately 13% of Denmark are non-white people. That is every other race. Approximately 13%. So that leaves what? 87% of the population as white. And exactly in 1836, when this story was written, exactly what do you think the non-white population in Denmark was? I'd give it down the odds of around 1-2%, maybe 3%. You can't find records about what it was in 1836. At least I couldn't find records of the population. I doubt they even kept records of that back in 1836. But anyway, when you read the book, she's long flowing hair, blue eyes. Well, they gave Halle Berry the long flowing hair, and they gave her the blue eyes. If you look at the original drawings of the Little Mermaid, they didn't shade in the skin to make her look like she was a darker skinned character, which is perfectly easy to do. Always has been easy to do. Look at any black and white comic. Look at what people do with pencil drawings. It's easy to delineate skin tones, even in black and white pencil drawings. And then all the pencil drawings in 1836 of the Little Mermaid, she is pasty white. So I'm still getting hate for pointing this out. And I think it's funny, personally. The amount of offense that people take to me pointing out. And I'm talking weeks worth of hate coming my direction. And I'm not even there participating very often. But anyway, talking about the Halle Berry movie. IMDb changes ratings after Little Mermaid backlash. Review bombing is a strange aspect of the state of cinema in the internet age. The term refers specifically to the phenomenon of users posting negative or positive reviews of a film in order to lower or raise its average rating. Review bombers often haven't seen the film that they've negatively or are positively. Remember the Wakanda, this last Black Panther movie? Yeah. Reviewing or reacting to an aspect of the film unrelated to the film's actual content. For example, racist. Oh, yeah, you've got to be a racist. Racist might review bomb The Little Mermaid live action adaptation because they don't like the black actor who's cast as Ariel. Not just racist. I'm not a racist. I am not a racist. Okay? Y'all know that. I just don't like having characters race swapped just for the purpose of race swapping them to give representation, as it's called. There are other reasons disgruntled internet denizens might review Bomb the Little Mermaid. General hatred towards Disney's live action movies, or if you're a Ron DeSantis supporter, a general hatred towards Disney, period. Boy, there's no bias in this article, is there? Whatever the case, IMDb is in on the shenanigans. The Internet Movie Database website posted a warning attached to the Little Mermaid review page in the US, Canadian, UK, Brazilian, and Mexico sites. Our rating mechanism has detected unusual voting activity on this title. To preserve the reliability of our rating system, an alternate weighting calculation has been applied. On its FAQ page, this site explains, although we accept and consider all votes received by users, not all votes have the same impact or weight on the final rating. When unusual voting activity is detected, an alternate weighting calculation may be applied in order to preserve the reliability of our system. In other words, to make it show what we think it needs to show. What we think, with our properly weighted view on modern society and how things should be. Of course they can. Of course they can, Badger. You know they can. Because if the movie, now there are people who have managed to see it on the, they went and sailed the 7 seas and managed to see it without going to a theater. But for the most part, people who review the movie have actually seen it. Now, as much as I may agree or disagree with the movie, I don't go and post reviews on the movie itself, good, bad, or indifferent, until I've actually seen it. Much like this upcoming Dune movie coming out this month. Thank God, I can't wait. I will review it when I come back from seeing the movie. And I will post a review on it. I will do a live stream on my review on it. And as much as I detest the actress Zendaya, I don't like her. I don't think she can act her way out of a paper bag. I still can't wait to see this movie, even though she's going to play a rather large part of it. If they stick to the book. So, exactly how IMDb is rating these reviews and what considerations is being taken to decide which review is weighted how is unclear. In fact, IMDb declines to disclose the exact method used to generate the rating. In order to ensure that our rating mechanism remains effective. The Little Mermaid currently sits at a 7 out of 10 scale on this site. Now, I've been listening to people who have gone to see the Little Mermaid movie, and 7 out of 10 seems to be quite a generous rating, because most people said that Halle Berry's acting was mediocre at best, that the special effects was mediocre at best, that was an hour too long at the minimum. It was an hour too long. That some of their favorite songs were removed or rewritten, that the casting of certain castings, this like the Prince was too old for some of the things they had him doing. That um, the King Neptune's role was diminished, and the acting was weak there also. That Melissa McCarthy as the Sea Witch um, was basically lacking, that she didn't give the same uh, ominous feel to the movie that was in the original. She didn't do, she wasn't as wicked, didn't feel as wicked. And I mean, come on, Melissa McCarthy, how can she feel wicked? She's so again, that's my personal opinion. I don't think, you know, she's a weak comedian, but she isn't ominous by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, IMDb, I've given up using that as any kind of a reference towards movies. It used to be good, but then they decided, well, they first of all they should never allow reviews to hit until the movie actually opens. All right, they should not open up reviews to the general population until the movie's actually open to the general population, and then let it go from there. But I mean, I've listened to a lot of, probably about 10 or 12 different people talk about the movie, and not a whole lot of them got anything good to say about it. I mean, enough good to make me want to even buy it for my grandson to watch. Now, this article here, I sort of this one here is sort of well, again, I've been called a racist here lately because of the arguments or discussions that I've gotten into about race swapping, about uh, you know paying American blacks any kind of money because of Civil War. We owe them from the 40 acres and a mule nonsense. That reparations. That's the word I was thinking of. The whole idea that uh, only whites can be racist, nobody else can be racist. Especially blacks can't be racist because they don't hold any power. Well, I still go by old Saul, if you want to know who truly holds power, just be aware of who knows who you can't be critical of. Racist, sexist, instaphobe. Yep. You just can't. Those who are in power are the ones you can't be critical of. That's and right now, you can't be critical of anybody who's black. You can't be critical of anybody who's gay or lesbian. You can't be critical of anybody who's a trans. So you you uh, these are the power people who have the true power. Because if you can't be critical of them, or you suffer severe consequences, then that makes them pretty damn powerful. So this next article is kind of funny in a way. Black Africans tired of Black Americans Afro-explaining Africa. African. Okay, now here is what's her name? Oh, her name. We'll come across her name. Africanness is blackness because we black people are the only ones who embrace Africa fully, whose culture is American, tries to Afro-explain Africa to an African. Okay. We're reaching a peculiar situation in our times where Black Americans are telling African people about their own history. A TikToker by the name of Not African Hippie states that an American would not be able to list 5 countries in Africa, let alone if they are actually able to explain the culture of each individual nation. According to a study done by David C. Kolish from the University of Berkeley, the relations between African immigrants and Black Americans are not as positive as we think. While African Americans, like other Americans, are seen to the stereotypes portraying Africa as a problem continent, a continent that is suffering from war, famine, and tribal divisions. Furthermore, this perception should not overshadow the diversity within the African communities. Following that, research highlights that a significant number of African immigrants emphasize their national or continental origins in order to be seen as foreigners by white Americans. By doing so, they hope to receive more favorable treatment from white individuals compared to experiences faced by Black Americans. Now, I think I see where they're going at here. Because the mindsets of the two groups, for the most part, are totally different. And I'm going to get some hate for this. And again, hashtag not all. We all know the exceptions to the rules here. Okay. Oh, okay, Badge. I'm sorry. I just saw your post there. I disagree. The ones in power using them as a distraction with the added goal of goading someone to snap and do something awful so they can bring the hammer down on everyone else. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Um, okay, that sort of brings up that sort of ties into an article or a video I saw yesterday, and I haven't had down chance to track down the whole video. I saw a video clip yesterday. Um, and just to give it away, a somebody purporting or purported as being from a company called BlackRock was saying that as an investment firm, they will they are telling the companies they invest in that they will push certain agendas or they'll pull all their money out. They will push the gay, lesbian, transphobe, or pro trans agendas. They will push these woke agendas, or else they will remove all their investments. And while I just saw that video clip, I've not had a chance because we all know how you can take a video, excuse me, and depending on where you edit it at, you can make it sound something totally different. And I keep referring back to Newt Gingrich when he was Speaker of the House. He had made a statement about Medicare withering on the vine. And the Democrats cut that particular uh, statement out, portion out of what he said. Uh, I, I hate this. Gingrich, wither on the vine. Oh, come on. I hate this new Bing. I really do. I really hate this new Bing. Let me refresh this page. All right. Yeah, I know I'm being quiet here while I'm typing. All right. Now then, okay, so let me get the entire quote here. And okay, anyway. So anyway, Newt had made quite a long comment about, and part of the comment he made was about uh, Medicare withering on the vine as privatization improved. Oh, Oh, you're not getting me off track, Badger, by no stretch. Newt says lost stuff like making the moon the 51st state. Okay, Data, I missed that one if he ever said anything like that. But anyway, um, we've got a lot of there's a big difference between the mindsets here, between immigrants and those who are born and live here, grow up here. All right. There are another comments that state the saddening outlook of many Africans show their frustrations towards Black Americans. Black Americans are entitled, as all Americans are entitled, when it comes to our comparison of our lives and what we see as rich or poor, being poverty stricken, being wealthy. Our poor are considered wealthy in Africa and in many parts of Africa. And just as you see people flying the Pan African flag and such, you know, wearing African clothing, to I'm not American, I'm African type stuff. It's like when Nancy Pelosi and all the Democrats got up there wearing those African robes and kneeling at the in the Congress, in the halls of Congress there. Okay, it's a costume for so many people who legitimately never, their families haven't worn that stuff for generations, if ever. So when actual Africans immigrate here, legally immigrate here, they look at what Black Americans are saying and doing, and they shake their heads. And the cultures are totally different. Talks about how African people are happy sharing their cultures with others, while African Americans despise the idea, is another issue towards their relations. Following that, there's recent uproar on Twitter regarding Juneteenth, which was a federal holiday since 2021. The intentions for this holiday is good, as they remember those slaves became free after the Civil War. Juneteenth is when the word finally got to parts of Texas. However, things took a wrong turn when a promotional poster depicts a white couple. A plethora of Black Americans were vehemently against this. Regardless, this is a sensitive topic. There are a multitude of options regarding what is right or wrong. In contrast, Africans are happy to share their culture, while Black Americans are pro gatekeeping. So, it, what it boils down to is Africans get here, they look at Black Americans, and they say, "What the hell are you bitching and complaining about?" Yeah. Oh, okay. About the moon being the 51st state. Yeah, definitely. At least that portion of the moon was a territory. But if I remember Neil Armstrong's comment, he didn't claim it for the United States. One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Yes, the word and a was sort of lost in the transmission. Now, Tim Scott, he's running for, announced that he's running for president. And Scott Behar of The View, she doesn't like that, because Tim Scott is a black Republican. My God, black Republicans. How the left hates black Republicans. The only blacks it's good to hate are black Republicans. Any other black, and you're a racist if you don't like them. Automatically, you're a racist if you don't like a black person unless they're a black Republican. Then, by God, if you don't hate them, you're a racist. That is the way the left looks at it. If you don't hate a black Republican, then it's because you're a racist. But Tim Scott, he's running for president. So Tim Scott doubled down on his criticisms of The View co-host Joy Behar during an appearance on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show, saying her comments about him on ABC daytime talk show were the dumbest, most offensive things he's ever seen on TV. Host Sexton and Travis asked Scott about Behar's claim that he doesn't understand what it's like to be black in America. He grew up black in America. He didn't grow up wealthy in America. But yeah, he's black. He grew up in America. Why wouldn't he understand what it's like? I mean, now did he face all the trials and tribulations and all the benefits and everything else that other blacks? No, but then as a white man, I haven't experienced everything every other white man grew up in America has experienced. I only experienced what I've experienced. The black experience in America is not a cohesive, one size fits all. Every black person in the country has faced the same thing. That just doesn't happen. There is, you cannot, somebody growing up in Alabama has no clue what it's like, does not have the same experiences as somebody growing up in Alaska or Hawaii. Somebody growing up in uh, Washington, D.C. or New York City's got no clue what it's like growing up in uh, a small farming town in the middle of Oklahoma. You got no clue. You don't know. Somebody growing up on that farming town has no clue what it's like growing up in New York City or LA or Chicago. Hell, even going from LA to Chicago is a huge difference. Going from Chicago to New York is a huge difference, despite them all being very large cities. So your experiences, you can't say everybody has got a same experience simply because of their skin color. A friend of mine I grew up with, our lives are totally different, even though we grew up in the same small town. So experiences are based upon your personal experiences, your decisions. not on your skin color. But Joy Behar, she says it all, that Tim Scott can't understand what it's like to be black in America. But that's something she understands because, well, she once wore blackface. There's no doubt the white lady dressing up in blackface, giving a black man advice, probably doesn't ring true in anybody's mind. Certainly not my own, Scott said. But more importantly, I find it offensive, disgusting, and dangerous for a very different reason. Scott said he used these attacks from the left, that he was used to these attacks from the left, and noted he's been called a prop and a token. Here's what's dangerous and offensive to me. For every young child in America wanting to think for themselves, to draw their own conclusions, what they're saying to them is stay in your lane, don't stick your head out, because we're going to tell you how to think, because you never learned anything about what you should think. It's literally the dumbest, most offensive thing I've ever witnessed on TV, to hear these multi-millionaire TV personalities telling me how to live my life as a black man. But more importantly, suggesting to every child to stay in your place. Follow my lead, or you too will reap the same harvest as Tim Scott or Clarence Thomas or any other conservative who dares think for themselves. See, they want to keep the race wars alive, but they especially want to keep people thinking a certain way based upon their skin color. If you're black, you have to think this. Damn, what the hell is that woman's name? That back in 2016 told some black man that she needs to go and visit him to tell him how he should vote as a black man. Some white, rich woman on TV. Damn, I can't think of her name now. But yeah, there's people out there trying to foster hate. You're a black man, you need to think this way. You're a black woman, you need to think this way. You're Hispanic, you need to think this way. You're not Latino or Latina, you're Latinx. Because I, as a white person, know what's best for you. So yeah, there, as a rich white woman, I know what's best for you. Behar compared Scott to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and claimed they both don't understand systemic racism. Again, with systemic racism, Joy. Please tell me one law that's out there that is applied negatively towards blacks, specifically applied negatively towards blacks. The law itself is specific that blacks are to be treated worse than a white counterpart. Name me one. Name me one law out there. Name me one law out there. One, just one, that says women are to be treated worse than men. Name me one. I bet you can't find them. I'll bet you can't find them. But I will show you actual laws that are written in such a way and specifically say that white people are to be treated differently and worse than anybody else, or that men are to be treated differently in a worse way than women. I will show you specific laws out there. All right. All I got to do is go to the equal opportunity. Let's go take a look at these laws supposedly about equal opportunity. Let's go and talk to the laws about who shall and shall not be forced to register for the draft. You want to talk about systemic racism or systemic sexism in our laws? Let's look at the laws that say that a woman-owned business gets preference over a male-owned business, or that a minority-owned business gets preference over a white-owned business. Let's look at those laws and those policies. So don't feed me this crap that there's systemic racism or systemic sexism in place in the United States today that negatively affects blacks and women, because it's not out there. This is what Beher had to say. He's one of these guys like Clarence Thomas, black Republican, who believes in pulling yourself up by your bootstraps rather than understanding how systemic racism in the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it. Neither does Clarence. That's why they're Republicans. They don't get it because it doesn't exist. They don't have that mindset that they didn't get somewhere because some white man was keeping them down. That they could succeed based upon their own actions. That's what they got. And that's why they both succeeded. And I laugh at these, especially these ball players like LeBron James. Patooey. Got spit to wash my mouth out saying that name. I laugh when I see these guys proclaiming racism on how racism is so strong in America. Really? Multimillionaire like yourself proclaiming that you're being held down by racism? Damn. Tell you what, give me 1 year of your earnings. Just 1 year. Give it to me, a white man who won't make in his lifetime what you make in 1 year. Tell me about how held back you are by racism in this country. You got a college degree based upon your athleticism. Not whether or not you earned that college degree. I have no idea if you earned it or not. But you got free education based upon your athleticism. I data 1 month. Now give me 1 year. Give me 1 year of your paycheck, and that'll set me and my family up, and even my grandson up for life, most likely. But I do. I have to laugh when I see these rich people proclaim racism in this country. You know, Oprah Winfrey. At one time, she was the richest woman in the country, or the richest television personality in the country. Tell me how sexism kept you back and racism kept you back, Oprah. Tell me all about it. As you go to the bank with your millions of dollars in bank accounts, you have so much money you started your own television network. Yeah, there is no race. There are there racists in this country? Yes, of every color, every skin tone has got some race. Has got people that have it that are racist. Can you eliminate racism? No, because you can't eliminate not unless you eliminate the ability for a person to think for themselves. You'll never eliminate racism. You'll never eliminate sexism because there's always going to be somebody who thinks that somebody else is bad simply because they're a man or a woman. You're always going to have somebody out there thinking that somebody else is bad or lesser than because they're the color of their skin or what they have between their legs, and for no other reason. So there is no such thing as eliminating racism, eliminating sexism, because you can't do it, especially in a country that honors free thinking. But you simply can't eliminate that kind of stuff. But don't sit there whining and crying and saying that somebody don't understand something because of their color of their skin. I understand what it's like to grow up poor. I understand what it's like to spend 20 years doing what I did in the military. Now, don't ask me how it was like to spend 20 years as a Marine because I got no freaking clue. Don't ask me what it's like to spend 20 years in the Army because I got no freaking clue. But I can tell you what it was like to spend 20 years working on F-15s in the Air Force. Well, 17 years on working on jets themselves, 17 of my 20. I can tell you all about that. Why? Because I experienced it. I can tell you what my experiences were like living in Germany for 3 years. Why? Because I experienced it. Personal experiences are like personal tastes. No two are alike because it's all based upon the individual. Now, I do like Tim Scott. Don't get me wrong. I do like Tim Scott. And there is a possibility I could vote for him. Okay. But Whoopi, she had her own comments. Scott has Clarence Thomas syndrome. One of the issues Tim Scott has is he seems to think because I made it, everyone can make it. Ignoring again the fact that he's the exception and not the rule. And until he's the rule, then he can stop talking about systemic racism. That was Sunny Hostin said that. Well, excuse me there, Sunny Hostin, but anybody could make it. Everyone can make it, depending on how they act, what decisions they make. Now, for some people, is it going to be harder? Again, because of some circumstances? Yes. And for some people, because of physical or mental issues, things that they're born with, that yeah, they're not going to make it. I mean, you got somebody who can't think beyond a first grader. Yeah, they'll never make it. They'll always need somebody to take care of them. But that is the exception to the rule. That's not the rule. You got people born with no hands that find ways of grilling. They've got no arms. Their arms end at their elbows, and they're out there grilling, or they're uh, bowling a bowling ball. They're playing baseball. They're out shooting because they found ways to do what they want to do. They didn't let something hold them back. And we all get things. Hey, Useless, how you doing today, my friend? Everybody's got a way of making things work for them if they try hard enough and imaginative enough. All right. My wife tells me I need to try harder at making this streaming thing work for me. Which she's right. I do. If I want to make this streaming thing work for me, if I want to get more subs, if I want to get large enough where I can get monetized and start making money off the computer, she's right. I've got to work harder at it. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do, how to do it. I've got to get more serious about it because I wasn't serious about it at first. This is just a way for me to let off steam. But I may end up having to get very serious about this, which means I'll have to spend more time on the computer doing things and decide what I want to do. But that's all, again, that's all things in the future. But Tim Scott, no, he is the rule, not the exception. Clarence Thomas is the rule. There are ways. Anybody, everybody can make it, can find their version of the American dream. But they're not going to find it sitting on their ass, toking weed, drinking whiskey, sucking down beers, and getting fat and lazy on the couch, watching the television and bitching about everybody else who actually got off the couch, stopped smoking the weed, stopped sucking down the whiskey and beer, and got off their asses and got out there and did something. Sunny Hostin didn't make it to where she's at by sitting on the couch and choking weed. Joy Behar didn't make it where she's made it to by sitting on her couch. Whoopi didn't make it to where she's made it by sitting on the couch. They all got off their asses and did something. That's the story of the left, though. The left wants to sit there and tell people that they can't make it in this great country because of what they got between their legs, because of the color of their skin, because. That's what the left is like in the country today. And as far as I know, that's the way the left has been for the past 40 years. Okay. Good old face Meta. California's got a law that sitting there going, why whiling with its way through their legislature. And Meta does not like it. Facebook does not like it. And they don't like it a whole hell of a lot. It's all you're okay, useless, you're right. It's all to push socialism. You know, um, There's the, the way people treat money is a pretty good is a great indicator. Um, I recently come into a little bit of cash, about $800. Like I said, a little bit of cash. Now, I could have taken that $800 and gone out and bought something that I want. Buy a new tablet, you know, uh, something, help put down on a new cell phone. Help the cell phone I want is going would cost if I were to go out today and buy the cell phone that I actually want, it's almost $2,000. I'm sticking with the 4-year or 3-year-old cell phone that I got that's still working because I don't have a difference between a want and a need. So I'm going to take this $800. I'm going to use it to pay off a credit card bill. Yay, one less credit card I got to worry about, one less bill I have to worry about every month. But some people, take that $800 and they go and blow it. Go out to eat, go and buy something that they don't need, something they want but don't need. You know, I could bank it and draw some interest on it, but I'm paying more out on interest on that credit card than what I would gain in interest on that $800. So I'd rather pay off that card. We get people that want, they come into this little bit of money. That's one of the things with this put, if they do, let's say, God forbid, and this reparations mess goes through, you're exactly right. One less bill means more money saved in the long run. Let's say this reparations, all of a sudden Uncle Sam decides to kill the eagle and give every Black American who can trace back an ancestor to having been enslaved $500,000, $500,000. All right. How much of that money would be spent at Walmart, Best Buy, and other places within 30 days of having been received it? You know, new cars, new motorcycles, new electronics, new toys. Versus how much that money would go in towards paying off other bills, to buying homes, buying new homes, or renovating the home that they're living in. How much that money would go into buying all new wardrobes? The clothes they have are perfectly fine, but man, I got a $500,000 here. I want to buy all new wardrobe. I'm going to go out and buy every new piece of electrical item, electronics there is out there. I am going to have one banging uh, theater room in my house. I'm going to have a top-notch audio system run through my house. That money would be spent and it'd be gone in a year. Might be gone in a year. They'd be right back to being dead ass broke, living paycheck to paycheck. Not because they're black, but that's because that's the way people are. That's the way people are. Now, there's going to be people out there that's going to take and save that money and generate what is called generational wealth. investments and banking, et cetera, et cetera. And the ones that buy homes with it, that will be, or pay off their home, that will be a few. But most of it will go into the pockets of Walmart, Best Buy, and Sony, Apple, Samsung. And again, like I said, not because they're black, but I mean, you put that much money in anybody's pocket because they're, regardless of their skin color. I know a lady husband was killed active duty. Her insurance payout was $200,000. In 6 months, she was dead ass broke and didn't have nothing to show for it. She didn't pay off her car. She didn't pay off her house. She didn't pay, she paid off some of her bills, but that was about it. She bought new clothes with it. Went out, went out to eat a lot. Bought a bunch of new toys. But in 6 months, that 200 grand was gone, and she didn't have hardly anything to show for it. So yeah, there's people of everywhere that waste money. They come into it, they waste it, they don't think about it in the future. So anyway, going back, this legislation going through New York, through California. Facebook and Instagram parent Meta Platforms Inc. on Wednesday threatened to block users in California from sharing news articles if lawmakers in his home state pass legislation requiring some tech companies to pay news publishers. The California Journalism Preservation Act, which is up for a vote in the state assembly on Thursday, would require social media platforms that make money from online ads through distributing news articles to pay a fee to support digital news publishers. Under the bill, news organizations would be required to spend at least 70% of that fee revenue on their newsrooms. Meta spokesman Andy Reid said Wednesday that if the bill becomes law, Meta will be forced to remove news links from Facebook and Instagram rather than paying to a slush fund that primarily benefits big out-of-state media companies. California Assemblywoman Buffy Wicks, who sponsored the bill, called the threat from the Menlo Park, California-based Meta a scare tactic they've tried to deploy unsuccessfully in every country that's attempted this. It's egregious that one of the wealthiest companies in the world would rather silence journalism than face regulation. In recent years, news publishers have seen their advertising revenue dry up as tech companies such as Meta and Google's Alphabet reap the lion's share of profits from online ads. Yeah, everybody goes online to read their news anymore. I don't buy a newspaper. I don't even subscribe to our local newspaper, the digital version. And I only pay subscription fees to one newspaper online, a dollar a week. So, yeah, I mean, the news industry is not a moneymaker except for ads. I sit here and fuss and fume about having all these ads when I go to these news sites, but that's the only way they make money is by these ads because nobody subs to them. Yeah, First Amendment unavailable for comment. Australia and New Zealand have similar laws in place requiring social media companies to pay news outlets, and Canada is considering a plan as well. Meta has threatened to block news in Canada if that law is passed, and briefly blocked news links in Australia before agreeing to a deal with the media companies. So, I mean, these news companies, they're losing money. They're going broke. Yeah, why would you sub to liars? Um, I get you, useless, but then they're all liars. That's why when it comes to stuff from Congress, I don't rely on the news. And that's why, I mean, one of the things I do as a regular thing on my stream is show actual hearings and not just a 2 second or 10-second clip of it. But I mean, I've gone the whole hour. If the hearing is under an hour, I'll play the whole hearing. But I will let a Congress critter play his whole 5 minute spiel that he has. So that's not taken out of context. So you hear what he said as well as what the entire response was, and not just a snippet. And let you make up your own mind. Yeah, I'm going to give my take on it. And hopefully my take will be a little bit more understandable, be a little bit more nuanced, because we heard the whole thing, the entire question, the entire answer, the attitude, the facial expressions, the body language of what was said and how it was said versus reading it on paper or having Joe Blow sitting behind the desk tell us what we're supposed to think about what was said. Because we don't get the honest truth out of these news organizations. Much so, we never did, but much so less today than we ever have in the past. But yeah, if we want to, I mean, and what's the answer there, useless? I mean, somebody give me an answer here, short of the government funding the news organizations, because we all know once the government starts funding them, well, that's NPR and PBS on steroids. You know, do you want Joe Biden? Do you want Kamala? Do you want Durbin, Schumer, Pelosi? Do we want Mitch McConnell telling the newsmakers, or the not newsmakers but journalists, what they can and can't say? I sure as hell don't. That's one of the reasons why I'm a little mad at C-SPAN, because C-SPAN gets taxpayer dollars and they're supposed to broadcast hearings. You're supposed to be able to go to C-SPAN to catch hearings, so you can see our Congress in action. But if you ever go to the C-SPAN website, most of the hearings, they're not there. They're not there for you to watch, which is frustrating as hell. but they get tax dollars to do them. Let's see here. Oh, we had a Senate staffer resign the other day. Tuberville advisor resigns after report on role in stalling military promotions. Now, this article actually tells us the National Security Advisor, Senator Tommy Tuberville, a Republican out of Alabama, has resigned after the Washington Post disclosed in a story that he presented Tuberville with a highly controversial strategy of stalling scores of senior military nominations in an attempt to stop a new Defense Department policy that helps ensure access to abortions for service members. The military shouldn't be funding abortions. That's an elective surgery. The military should not be funding those. Plain and simple. Personally, I think that's illegal because we do have laws in place that government funds aren't supposed to be used for paying for abortions. In an email to colleagues Tuesday night, obtained by the Post, Morgan Murphy shared it was his last day working for Tuberville. Today's my last day with the coach, the best boss I've ever had. It's been an honor to work with each of you these past 2.5 years. Hope you keep in touch with me. The Post reported Friday that Murphy had presented Tuberville with multiple options for trying to block the Pentagon's abortion travel policy, which the senator opposes. After the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and some states began to ban or tightly restrict abortion, the military enacted a policy that reimburses travel costs and provides leave for service members who seek the procedure. Now, if a person wants to take leave and they're going to have an abortion for taking that leave, fine. Leave is leave. You've earned the leave. It's your right to take it when and how you want to. All right. But the military, but that's elective. The military don't pay you when you go on leave, pay you your travel expenses. So they should not be reimbursing travel cost. And that leave had better be coming out of their accrued leave account, which is accrued at 2.5 days per month. So you get 30 days of leave a year. That leave better not be special leave or something like that that does not come out of their pocket, come out of their accrued leave. I keep bouncing back and forth between the two screens here so I don't miss any messages. Tuberville chose a strategy of using his senatorial powers to delay military promotions. All right, they're subject to confirmation by the chamber. More than 200 promotions, which are typically approved swiftly with no controversy, have been stalled. These are promotions to E8, E9, and to the higher officer ranks. Because I think it's only E9. and then the to the to promotion to general. And Cry Me a River. Cry me a river. I've got no concerns about that whatsoever. The DOD under Biden, much like the DOD under Obama, has gotten so left wing it's not funny. Gotten so progressive it's not funny. And there's no sense in it. Yes, I know all these people in these positions are going to be political appointees one way or another. I understand that. I'm no dummy. I understand that these people are political appointees. Therefore, they're going to be they're going to pass the sniff test as far as their political beliefs. There are very few generals, very few people make it to general in the military or admiral in the Navy without having gotten past the political sniff test. The days of, he's a war hero, he's won X number of battles, he's, led these many campaigns and have won or whatever, been successful in the field of battle. We haven't had that really since World War II. We did have one there after the Gulf War. In fact, I worked under him at Luke Air Force Base when he was a colonel. And I cannot remember his name now, for love nor money. Big fat boy, really. He couldn't pass the physical fitness exam for love nor money, I don't think. But anyway. But my heart's not broken seeing this happen. Abortion. The government shouldn't be funding abortions, and the military shouldn't be paying somebody to travel pay to go have an abortion. That's and of course, the Washington Post trying to find their way of hurting anybody who stands in their way of pushing that agenda. Then we all know AOC. We heard about this yesterday. AOC is going to try to figure out a way of getting back at Elon Musk. Because thanks to Elon Musk, a parody account making fun of AOC has really gotten a lot of exposure. And just as she managed to kill mini AOC, she's going to try to kill this parody account, but in order to do it, she's got to go through Elon Musk. I'm not going to say that there's plenty of people I know of all political stripes, very thin skinned, very thin skinned. Donald Trump, for example, man, that guy's you poke at him, no matter how blunt the stick, and he's that he'll wake up a big angry bear that's going to sideswipe your ass. Very thin skinned. But these Congress critters need to learn that when you're out there in public like that, people are going to make fun of you. I mean, there's a woman that does there's a couple of women that do amazing Kamala routines. They are hilarious. And I can only listen to them for so long because they sound so much like Kamala that it's like, okay, I can't even listen to Kamala this long. I can't listen to you imitate her ain't that long either. But I don't people, please lighten up on your. If you're on the receiving end of that stick, that parody account, you want to blunt it, laugh with it. Laugh with them. That takes all of it away. That takes the steam out of it. But the more you sit there and get angry and huff and puff and act like an idiot, all you're doing is feeding them. So AOC, just lighten up. You managed to swipe out mini AOC, which was mini AOC. AOC was fun. I don't even know if that account still exists. Let's see if mini AOC still exists or not. Mini AOC. Uh, let's see here. Here's something from back in 2001 or 2021. Here we go.
Affects all Americans. My Pillow founder, Mike Lindell. I think Mr. Lindell is racist because the pillows he makes are white and 100% cotton. I don't use a pillow because my head just floats right off the mattress. That's why my voice is so squeaky. It's the helium leaking out of my mouth. OMG. I just learned that killing your mattress is called matricide. Patricide is killing a male mattress. Did you know that? It's like the Bible says. An eye for an eye and sometimes a Y. That's from chapter AR, verse 15. If you don't cancel Mike Lindell, then you're just like him, a faithful business owner who employs every race, color, and creed because he loves America and every hard-working American. You're just as bad as he is. Anyone can get a good night's sleep with his pillows. Even Chief Justice John Roberts, but not.
Okay. That's the last thing I could find on there. Hey, CK, how's it been? Yep, I'm just getting ready to wind up. I cannot do another 4-hour stream like I did yesterday. My God. Ramen kept me going for 2 additional hours yesterday. I didn't get anything done I was supposed to. Well, I didn't get some things done I was supposed to get done before the wife got home from work. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it down for the day, though, guys. We've got a couple errands I need to go run. Like I said, I gotta go. I definitely have to go get a new thumb drive to replace this one for work that I destroyed this morning. And CK, man, I hope everything's been going okay for you. All right. But thank you for coming out, Badger, Useless, Data. I appreciate y'all coming out and listening to me ramble for the last 2 hours. Tomorrow's fun stream. We'll be out here. Ramen will be with me, and along with RVA Dar. Oh, yesterday I was very graciously invited to a stream, and your boy Pat very graciously invited me on the stream, and I was on my phone, and the camera kicked on. Fortunately, it did not face me, facing my ceiling or the floor, so I closed up my phone case. Come to find out, that's not a smart thing to do. Because in about 15 minutes, my phone overheated so to the point that I actually had it shut down, and I actually ended up putting it in the refrigerator so that it would cool enough that I could even think about turning it back on. So, yeah, learned my lesson from that. So anyway, y'all be good. Have fun. We'll be back tomorrow with the fun stream. Pat, I do appreciate you inviting me on yesterday. I'm sorry that my phone, I should have been smarter from the beginning with my phone because that's not the first time that's happened to me. I just forgot about it. So y'all be good. Behave. Be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. We'll be back tomorrow for the fun stream.